Hi Stampin' friends, Sandi MacIver here, Stampin' and Blog and Stampin' with Sandi, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Canada. And today I wanted to share this adorable little project that we made in our downline meeting this past week. I hosted a downline meeting for new team members, and once we had a little business talk and a little Q&A, we got down to some fun stamping, and we created this rectangle card in a box. And what's different about this was I created it from an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. So I wanted to share with you how I did that and also all the decorating I did on this cute little box. So in the past we've always made these boxes out of a 12 by 12 piece of paper. We cut them into strips of 4 and you get 3 in each. But we no longer sell whole packages of a single color. So you have to buy a color family and you get 2 pieces of each color. So if you're doing a large class, this can get kind of expensive and you have a lot of cardstock left over. So I decided, okay, let's see if we can't build this out of 8.5 by 11. And I figured out how to do it. So here's what you do. Stick the end in and you are going to cut 2 pieces at 4 inches wide, okay? And then this piece that's still in here, you're going to turn and cut it at 5. So I've got the 5 over here, and I'm cutting down this way, and then turn it back. I'm going to line it up at the 1 inch over here in the corner, and I need 2 1-inch pieces. So there's 1, and there's 2, okay? And while I've got them here, I'm going to stick them back in here again, and I'm going to line them up at 3/4 this time, and I'm going to use my scoring attachment to score at 3/4 on each side. And these are the 2 inside pieces that hold all our little goodies inside. Okay. So then back to these 2 pieces, we are now going to turn them this way and we are going to cut them at 6, both of them. So this is a leftover piece for something else. So you'll end up with 2 of those, okay? Now I'm going to move my cutter out of the way for a second. I'm going to turn this long ways and I'm going to score both of these down the center at 2, okay? Then you want to flip them back this way. You want to score at 2 and 5.5. You can do both of those. 5.5. Okay, now lift the arm and bring your cutter back up. Okay, put it back to the 2-inch mark. And you want to put your thumb where the 2-inch is on the ruler on the piece that flips, okay? Mine's right there. And so I'm using the cutter this time, and I'm going to cut down to where the 2-inch score line is at 2 inches. I'm going to flip over to 5.5, and I'm going to do the same thing. Take it back up, and then cut it down to 2. And then you're going to grab your scissors, and you're just going to angle cut. And this creates the little tab that's going to hold our box together. Okay, so clear as mud, I get to do it again for you. Take your cutter to the top, line up 2 inches. You've got your 2-inch score line going this way. You're going to cut down to that cross line at 2 inches. Move it over to 5.5 and repeat. Move your cutter to the top, bring it down to 2, open it, and cut the tab. There we go. So we've got our 2 box pieces and we have our 2 inside pieces that we need. Next you want to grab your bone folder and you want to fold this side in and you want to fold the tab in on both of them, okay? And so then you're going to take either fast fuse or your tear and tape because both of these are quite strong, okay? And I made this wide enough that you can get the tear and tape down it, no problem. And we want these tabs on the inside of the box, okay? So by going like this, and you want a wide side to a short side. So you're going to come along, and you see these 2 are the same. We're going to butt them up against each other, just like that, and then press that tab down that has the adhesive on it, and that attaches the first one for you, okay? So see how it's one piece, and the tab's on the inside. Add adhesive down the second tab, and take this little guy, and you just want to make sure that everything's lined up nice and straight before you glue it on there. And there we go. Simple, right? Okay, so then the next step, you want to take the front and you want to fold it. and you want to fold the two sides, but you do not want to fold the back. You want to leave that as one solid piece, okay? And so then what you can do is you can angle these, and then you can take your bone folder and just make sure that the folds are nice and crisp. And there we go. There's the base of the box. That was pretty easy, right? All right, so then take these little guys that you scored both ends, and you're going to turn the tabs in. And again, I like to burnish these with my bone folder just to make sure everything's nice and crisp. Okay, this time I'm using multi-purpose glue because it doesn't stick instantly, so it gives me a little bit of maneuvering time when I'm putting these inside the box, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it this way. I have my glue here, and I'm going to open these up, and they're going to line up with the back of the box, okay? So stick one in there, and then fold that other guy out, and you need to hold this for a couple secs. And I've got this just about 1/8 of an inch below the side of the box, okay? So let me lift this up so that you can see it. We'll let the camera focus here for a sec. There we go. Okay, so my tabs are on the side here. Okay, I'm going to come back down. Hopefully the camera's going to autofocus. There we go. All right, so then we're going to repeat with the second one. Ooh, got lots of glue on that one. This thing's been sitting upside down and it's oozing. Okay, and I'm going to pop this in here. And I'm going to open the tab, and I'm going to push it right up against the previous one. And same with this side. And again, you need to hold this in place for a couple secs. Okay, so there they are. There's the two inside. Hopefully you can see those. Bring them up here a little bit for you. There you go. Okay, so these tabs are also on the side too. They are not on the back. Okay, the other thing I like to do just before this completely sets is I like to close this box both ways, and so that just kind of moves those two pieces around inside, and they kind of find their little spot, their little sweet spot. Okay, so we're kind of finished with that for a second while I introduce you to a couple of other pieces. The stamp sets I'm working with today are both from the Occasions catalog. Basket Bunch is where I got 90% or 99% of the things, and then these little clouds, these tiny little clouds up here behind the little bunny, they're from Lift Me Up. So this little guy here. And so with the basket of bunches, there is a whole set of framelits. And look, there's grass. I'm so excited that we have grass. And there's this little guy here for cutting out the clouds, okay? And this is from Up and Away. And this is called Basket Builder. So just before we get into that, I am going to show you all the pieces. Now don't freak out when you see all this. I have them all recorded on my blog for you. And if you go down just underneath this video into the comments underneath the video, there is a link to the page with all of the instructions, okay? All the cutting, all the pieces that I used, everything's in there for you. I know you're starting to freak out. You should have heard the girls when they opened their kits. It was like, oh no! Okay, so these are all the pieces that you need to decorate the box. This larger piece is for the back, and this is where we're going to do our stamping, but I wanted to show you a couple of things, okay? So again, we were talking about the grass, okay? If you get a strip, and I did mine in Wild Wasabi, if you take a strip 2 inches wide and 11 inches long, you can get 4 of these on here, no problem at all, so just run them through your Big Shot, okay? And remember I was telling you that there's a lot of repetitiveness. Okay, so each of these pieces is 1 5/8, okay? And each of these pieces is 1 3/4. So what you can do, and I have a strip of Daffodil Delight here just to show you, 1 3/4, okay? And so I'm going to cut that, and it's a whole strip. So then what I can do is I can turn it this way, and I can go 1 3/4, boom, done. 1 3/4, boom, done. 1 3/4. Okay, I think you're getting the idea, right? It's pretty easy to cut that out. I did exactly the same thing with this designer paper. Even though it's a 6 by 6, you can cut the strip at 1 5/8, and then you can turn it and you can cut it into sections, and you get 3 out of each strip. So you can just work your way through the piece of designer paper. The one thing I will tell you though is be careful to make sure that you've got the design element going the same way. Okay, so then you can take your snail for this one, and you are going to add adhesive to the back of each of these pieces, and then there's a 1/8 inch border for all of the mats. Okay, so the mats in Daffodil Delight, and the designer paper I'm using is Cupcakes and Carousels, and you're going to go all the way around and do all that. I'm not going to bore you by doing that, but what I do want to show you is this piece here is the sky, so it goes on the back of the box, okay, and then you'll see that there's these three pieces that go together there for the two sides and the front, and then if I close the box, you will see mine's dots, okay, so the dots are now the stripes. So all of these stripe pieces, so there's two long ones that go there, and then there's four squares, and they go on either end, okay? And then you've got these two pieces, they go on the back. And so I did a little bit of decorating on the back of this little guy, but what I thought was this was a nice place to write a little sentiment or something to the person that you were giving it to. Okay, so next let's put the grass in. We're going to start with a solid piece of the grass, and I'm just going to put a couple of glue dots on the back, 3, okay, and I'm starting at the back, and I'm attaching them to these little crossbars. That's exactly what they're for, okay? So the second one is obviously too long, and so what I do is I just dry fit it in here, and I kind of stick my thumb where I need to snip it, okay? And just snip it off, add a couple of glue dots to the back of this, and pop it in there. Just like that. Okay, and exactly the same thing for the front one, and what I did was I went to the other side this time so that I didn't have the seams in the same spot, and I also moved the grass down about 1/4 of an inch, just so that there was a little bit of height going on. And then again, I'm taking this little guy and I'm going to snip it right there, add some glue dots to the back, and attach again lower, but try and line them up. And there we go, there's the grass. Let me see if I can bring this up for you, okay? And it's attached on the inside. Okay, so the two extra pieces of the grass I actually used on the back of the little card so that I could decorate it. And this is a photopolymer stamp set. We're going to do stamping next, so I'm getting my piercing mat, placing it up here, and I decided to use my basic black archival ink because it's waterproof, and I want to color all these little guys, and I just want to show you, I gave everybody half a sheet of Whisper White, and we had to stamp so that there was enough room to do our die cutting, so I'm going to show you how we laid them out, okay? Two bunnies side by side. I put the eggs all on one handle just to speed it up a little bit, and you need, I think, 8 eggs. But that's how many I used. You can use as many as you like. And so what we did was we just stamped all 3 of them up there like that. Then we needed 6 flowers. And you'll notice I'm leaving enough room in between so that I can die cut, okay? Doing that on purpose. 5, 6, okay. We needed 3 clouds. There we go. We needed, I don't know, some of us used a whole bunch of carrots and some of us only used a couple, and the carrot is really darn cute. And I smeared that guy a little bit. I moved my stamp. So there's room to do a few extra if you want to. There's also room to drop what you're working on. And then for the sentiment that's on the front, I actually have it on the other side of the egg, of the carrot. I just stamped it down in the corner here so that I could trim that off when I was all done. Okay, so to color these, we went 2 ways. You could either use your blender pen or your aqua pen. We used Smoky Slate, Daffodil Delight, Melon Mambo, Basic Black, Wild Wasabi, Bermuda Bay, and Pumpkin Pie. And through the magic of video, I have these all cut out and colored already, so I'll just lay them out quickly here for you so that you can see what I did to them. These little carrots are just totally adorable. And you want to paint a little bit of green around the top because the die cuts out around the edge there. So you can add a little bit of greenery. I only used 1 bunny in the card, but I like to cut out 2 just in case I mess one up when I'm die cutting. You know, sometimes these little dies move while you're die cutting, so it's a good idea to hold them in place with a Post-it note. Okay, so here's all the little pieces. I decided not to color the clouds, and I got asked that by everybody, so that's why I'm telling you, because the paper that the clouds are going on is already blue, so having them white helps them to show up a little bit. Okay, so I used 3 pink flowers and 3 yellows, and then there's all my little guys, and then see, I trimmed out my sentiment. Okay, so let's put our little guy together. I have a couple of dimensionals on the back of the sentiment, and I popped it down here in the bottom left-hand corner. And then I took a couple of eggs, 3 exactly, and I actually added dimensionals on the back of these as well. Okay, so the little striped guy I put over here underneath, and then I put the larger guy first, and then the little dotted guy over top, okay? And I also have my clouds done on dimensional, so let's do all the dimensional pieces first. So I put 1 cloud up there, 1 a little bit higher over here, and this is only 4 inches tall, so you can actually got a 1/4 of an inch that you can go outside of the box, and it will still fit inside an envelope. Okay, so there's the 3 clouds. There's the 3 eggs on the sentiment. Okay, so now we're going to start filling in, and now I switched over to glue dots, just because they're fast. So a glue dot on the bottom and the top of the little bunny, and he went on the back grass. Okay, and then he's holding one of his little carrots. You can fold a glue dot kind of in half and stick it behind. So he's got a little carrot in his hand. And then I put a yellow flower back there with him. So I'm trying to do this really quickly. And a striped egg over on the right hand side. And again, these can exceed because you see how they fold in. Okay. And a dotted egg over on the left hand side. And a yellow flower down the front here, another striped egg. These are so cute when you get them all done. Oops, he's kind of on an angle. There, get him in there. A large egg over here, and another dotted egg over on this side. Now, let me show you this guy. On this guy, there is a flower here, and you see how they kind of bob? I have got those on a piece of window sheet. Okay, so I know you can't see the window sheet, so you just have to take my word for it. What I did is 4 inches long, okay, and I cut a strip that's a 1/4 of an inch wide, and then I cut it in half, okay? So I've got 2 2-inch pieces. So if I stick a glue dot on the front of the one that's going to be attached to the back of the grass, and on the front again, because I'm going to put the flower at the top of it, and then I can take it and I can pop it down here and just attach it, and it's kind of hanging out there. Isn't that cute? Okay, so do the same thing with this little guy, and I'm attaching to the front, and then I'm adding a flower to it. And this one I'm going to move over just a little bit. There we go. So there's the 2 flowers that kind of bop and groove. You could also put a little spring on there if you want to. That would be kind of fun. Alright, so then I've got all these little guys left over. So then you can flip this over and close it. And I added some glue to the back of this extra little piece of grass that we had. And I popped it down here in the bottom left hand corner, just like that. Okay, and so you can kind of fiddle with what you have left. I have a little bunny here that I could add, and then I've got a couple of carrots that I could add in here, and I have an Easter egg, and I have a couple of flowers. So I could kind of do whatever I wanted to this little guy. So there you go, there's our cute little bunny boxes, and I have extras, and so what I do is I take a little embellishment container and I save them in there. And so what's cool about this is you can just close it all up, and it fits perfectly into a Stampin' Up! Envelope, and you can mail it to somebody, and won't they be surprised when they open this up and see this? My mother-in-law is going to love it. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed my video, and if you live in Canada and you need the supplies for this, I would love to be your demonstrator. Just click on the link below and it will take you to my blog. There's a list of all the products that I used and all the measurements and everything, so it's nice and easy. You can just click on them. It will take you right to my online store. Thank you so much for stopping in, and happy stamping!